Alright, this is Mr. M, and the topic of today's video is rational numbers. Alright, you probably know that in the family of numbers, all these different things that we call numbers, there's all different kinds of numbers. There are whole numbers, there are even numbers, there are odd numbers, there are prime numbers. There's all kinds of different types of numbers. One type of number is what we call a rational number. So what we're going to try to figure out today is, what is a rational number? What makes a rational number rational, and what kind of numbers are rational? The key to understanding what a rational number is actually hidden right inside the word rational, and it's right here. Ratio. What's a ratio? Well, you've probably seen ratios used in a situation like this. Say, for instance, in your classroom there are 12 girls and 13 boys. A lot of times what we like to do with those numbers is we just put a little line so that one is on top of the other, and we say that there's a 12 to 13 ratio of girls to boys. Normally though, when you see a number like this, where there's two numbers, a 12 and a 13, and they're stacked on top of each other with a line in between them, we would probably call this type of a number a fraction. And you would be right if you called this a fraction, because it is a fraction. Fractions and ratios are actually very similar. There's a number on the top, a number on the bottom, and a line in between them. And this is going to get us towards the definition of what a rational number is. A rational number, and you might want to write this down, is any number that can be written as a fraction, or you could say it's any number that could be written as a ratio. Okay, so a rational number has the word ratio hidden right inside of it, and since a ratio is like a fraction, a rational number is any number that can be written as a ratio or a fraction. Ratio slash fraction. So let's take a look at some examples of rational numbers. The number 1/2 is an example of a rational number. Any fraction is going to be an example of a rational number. So 1/3 is a rational number, and 1/4 is a rational number, and 1/5, 1/6, 1/7 are all rational numbers. In fact, any fraction is a rational number, even something like 3/17, or something really weird like 131,29,244. These are all examples of rational numbers because they're written as a fraction. And any number that can be written as a fraction is a rational number. What about the number 10, for instance, though? Is 10 a rational number? Let's find out. What makes a rational number rational is whether you can write it as a fraction or not. Can you write the number 10 as a fraction? Of course you can. 10 is equal to 10 over 1. So is this rational? Well, the answer is yes. 10 is a rational number because you can write it as a fraction, even if it doesn't start off being written as a fraction. Is 11 rational? Yes, 11 is rational. Is 12 rational? Yes, 12 is rational. In fact, every whole number, every integer, is a rational number because you can always write it over 1 in fraction form. Even 19,204,886 is rational because you can write it as a fraction. Simple as that. Now, what about something a little bit more complicated? What about a smaller number, but one that has a tricky decimal in there, like 1.5? 1.5 looks like a decimal, not a fraction, so we might be tempted to say that that is not a rational number. But if you're smart, you know that 0.5 is like a half. So couldn't we write 1.5 as 1.5? Yes, we could. Therefore, 1.5 is rational because you can write it as a fraction or a ratio. Dun, da, da, da. So, the moral of the story is, to find out whether a number is rational or not, just ask yourself, can it be written as a fraction? Because a rational number is let's try that again. A rational number is any number that can be written as a fraction. Any number that can be written as a fraction. That's what gives us a rational number. Okay, now for some practice problems for you. I want you to look at the following numbers . And I want you to circle or write down which ones are rational and which ones are not rational. We will talk about it in class. I hope you learned something.